You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
So,
hello.
This week's show, slightly different studio.
Venturing outside the normal green screen.
Yes, and you can probably tell some of the stuff that we're into here, such as Batman, but you could probably tell that off of Mike's tattoos.
I don't know what you mean.
And then various wrestling things like championship belt, Money in the Bank. We thought that we would just actually put all of the stuff that we've amassed over the years into a studio.
Nerd alert.
And there's even more off screen, but we obviously have to actually present. So
the trick is, stay tuned over the coming weeks as this becomes this.
So we thought we'd go for a chill one because we both have quite a lot to say on this episode. We don't strictly know what the other one's going to be talking about too much. And it's because we're doing a deep dive into the gig that we've just been to, which was Bullet and Trivium.
It was immense.
So,
and my back
so
is
good.
still in spasm 3 or 4 days later.
Even though, let's be real, neither of us mosh or headbang. That is the most...
Just standing up for 4 hours.
And in fairness, I did actually headbang so hard I gave myself a headache because I was enjoying myself that much. And part of the reason being, and why we thought we'd do a deep dive into this, is to really make the point. Let me just put my microphone down a second.
Now, this is big nerd alert.
And he...
Doesn't fit anymore though.
Oh, it definitely doesn't fit. I am so much bigger than I was when I wore this at 18. That is off the original Ascendancy tour that came to my hometown with God Forbid and somebody else I can't remember the name of. At the Great Hall. I think you knew about it, but I don't think you came to it.
It was at the Great Hall, you're right.
Yeah. So, literally been a Trivium fan since the albums that we went to see. Same with The Poison. Been a massive, massive Bullet fan. I'd probably say Bullet edges out Trivium for me overall on personal taste.
Me too. I think I was thinking this, like live-wise, the gig we just went to, I think Trivium edged it over Bullet, but I'm a Bullet boy.
I'm so the same. I genuinely forgot how many words I know to those albums as well.
I think for me, Bullet have got bangers. They've got floor fillers.
Yeah.
When we used to DJ, they were always request Bullet, never Trivium, even though they're both on the same kilter and just as famous and touring and album-wise and stuff. It just seems that Bullet have got those riffs that people want to headbang to in the club.
Interestingly enough, we've been watching a lot of the footage that Bullet and Trivium have been making together in preparation for this tour. Matt Heafy says the same thing. He thinks that Bullet writes more bangers, and he writes more just... Like he said that he's his own worst enemy, even in an interview with me once, that he likes the Metallica 6 to 8 minute full-length, metal track.
Yeah, it tells a story.
Yeah, and it's just weird because when Trivium came on the scene, they were just metalcore and nothing else.
Yeah, you could even say they were almost pioneers of metalcore. They were there at the beginning of the new era kind of thing.
The only one that wasn't on this tour, but that's probably because it didn't suit it, I would say that Killswitch were the final... if you were to have 3 pioneers that most people would remember from that 2005 era, it would be Killswitch, Bullet, Trivium, and
but then you had, with regards to Killswitch, you had that whole explosion come out from the New England area of the States, whereas Trivium were from Florida.
Yes.
And Bullet are from Wales.
And
the valleys.
Interesting little factoid about them is half of Bullet started off in a band called Jack Kill Jill. And I'm not sure whether it was when they were Jack Kill Jill or their first Bullet performance as Bullet or second. It was very much early days, and this shows you how different the industry was back then. There was a talent scout in the crowd for either Jack Kill Jill or Bullet. I can't remember which one. Internet, tell me in the comments.
After you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for all of our episodes.
And they got signed straight away because of their riff writing. And that's a combination of Matt Tuck and Padge do all the riff writing. In fact, I didn't know this until the Bullet footage that they put out recently, but the opening riff of the first track on The Poison is actually Padge's riff rather than Matt Tuck's. And
it's not Apocalyptica.
No, not that, but on the first track.
Oh, not the intro track.
No, the first riff, Her Voice Resides one, that's Padgy. And I think one of the reasons that they enjoyed doing this, as far as I could tell, is for somebody like Matt to actually give Padge a lot more love than the general misconception is a lot of people have criticised Bullet for Matt doing all of the stuff himself, whereas he doesn't. He works very closely with Padge, and they created that Bullet riff style that comes out every 2 to 3 albums.
Bullet have gone through a lot of changes in the 20 odd years that they've been together.
Yeah.
But I think now is their strongest lineup for sure.
I mean, what's quite funny, I thought you might have a little bit to say about the lineup change. We never do bad press, by the way. So when we're talking about the lineup change, we're not talking about why it happened in the first place. That's for the band to deal with and leave them to it.
Plus, you can find it all out online now.
Exactly. What we can tell you is what happened in the days, weeks and months before Jamie, the new Bullet bassist and backing vocalist, what he was doing, because we
used to put his old band on when we were promoters. Revoker.
They
were awesome. They actually reformed and played a couple of gigs between Christmas and New Year back in Wales, I believe.
And you just you would never have guessed that the guy that was fronting Revoker, jumping off stage with his bass and, his guitar, because he wasn't actually a bassist, was he? He was the guitarist.
I can't remember, it was many moons ago.
But I think he decided to play bass because he was good at both. Either way, again, internet, call me out. If I get things wrong, I want to know in the comments because it's funny. But yeah, he got recruited. Matt Tuck did a side project called Axe Wound.
He did.
With
Liam from Cancer Bats and a few other people.
And one of those is now Bullet's drummer.
That makes sense.
So that's where that came about.
But he's only the second drummer for them, isn't he?
Yes, because
Whereas Trivium...
Moose was first.
Yeah. Trivium have gone through a number of drummers, but
6, I think.
6 or 7. But the one they've got now has been there the longest.
Not only that, but I have.
He's a beast.
I've asked their PR and their record label to actually confirm whether, for both drummers, whether they're actually cyborgs. Because
you brought that up in an interview, didn't you?
Maybe confirm a rumor for me now. Is your drummer actually a cyborg?
He's a machine, yeah.
Right? With Padge.
Yeah.
And the reason being is I remember Slam Dunk when Bullet headlined the indoor stage. First time in Hatfield, I think it was.
Okay.
And me and you were stood there just going, this guy's pretty decent. And then 4 Words to Choke Upon came along, which is the one with the snare roll at the start. And I remember you just laughing your ass off. Because I used to drum as a kid, don't anymore, not a very good drummer anyway. But listening to that man attack something I knew so well and making it better.
Elevation.
Just so good. And it's the same with Trivium these days as well. Trivium's drummer is unbelievable. The man just monsters everything. I think they just gelled as a unit when they found this new guy. I can't remember his name. We're terrible with names.
We are.
The only reason I remember so much about the vocalists of these bands is because they're both called the same thing. Matt.
They are, yes.
That is one of the things I found quite interesting. I remembered in preparation for this as well, another interesting fact is after both Ascendancy and The Poison, because they went from playing, I think Matt even said that he was in a church choir or something like that. Matt Tuck from Bullet was in a church choir.
That would make a lot of sense because they're from sort of the old mining villages on the outside of Cardiff.
And that's what you do.
It was big brass bands and choirs and,
so he
miners.
Was vocalising maybe once a week for the choir. Yeah. And then suddenly he was singing and screaming 5 nights a week on tour for like 9 months straight.
Yeah.
Same with Trivium. They exploded so hard that suddenly all this happened. And even Matt like admits these days that he does Heafy, that is, sorry, does not like the screaming on the first album compared to what he learned to do later.
But in all honesty, he's spot on. We went to the opening night of the world tour, so the match fit already. So by the time you go and see them on the closing night of the UK leg, it'll be even more supple in the throat department.
I mean, there was no drop off. But the interesting thing I remember is after the album tour of Ascendancy and Poison back in 2005,
separate tours,
they both had to have vocal surgery, and it was a really big thing at the time. Because if people were having vocal surgery, like Angela Gosso's had some, I think even Corey Taylor's had some vocal surgery, it wasn't the done thing at the time. And both of them had polyps, if you know what polyps are. And both of them accredit the change in sound from album 1 to album 2 because they had learnt how difficult it was doing what they had written on the first album on tour every night. So they both wrote easier albums for themselves.
There's a great podcast by Jamie Jaster that deep dives into vocal surgery and people that have had it, and he spoke to them and that. So if you're online and looking for something like that, check out Jamie Jaster or the Jaster podcast, and it'll be on the back issues from years ago.
But we've done, well, you've done pretty much all of them that's ever been released. Of the Jaster podcast.
Up to about 2 years ago.
Yeah. I've done maybe 50%, mostly on trips back from gigs where Mike would tell me, you've got to listen to this one with this guy. He's had Danny Warsnop on. So like all of my favourite vocalists have actually been on the Jaster podcast at some point or another.
Matt Heafy's been on a whole bunch because obviously they're Americans. So
exactly. So if you want to take what we're talking about with the vocal stuff and how it really affected these guys, Jamie is amazing anyway at doing podcasting. He's the frontman of Hatebreed, and if you know Hatebreed, you know that is hard work to be that vocalist. That is heavy vocals.
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't have to sing. And that's one of the things I remember.
A bit. It's
later though, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say it's singing. It's more soft
vocalizing.
Growling. Vocalizing.
I mean, one thing I find quite interesting is somebody once said that if you look at Matt through the album years, Heafy that is, of Trivium.
Matt H.
He has his own style on Ascendancy. He then tries to sing the whole way through Crusade, which brave move for the sound they had to begin with. He then goes a little bit Rob Flynn of Blackened. On the third album. Yeah. And then we actually saw them on that tour. We were laughing about it when...
was that when they supported Slipknot?
No, this was headlining at the O2.
Oh, okay.
With, I think it was As I Lay Dying as the main support. But it was when Matt had the massive curly hair, bullet belt.
Yes.
And he was like the epitome of thrash metal.
He was very Hot Topic, EMP kind of.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the hair went, In Waves got released, and we got the map that now people are a bit more used to.
Yeah, and they actually played In Waves as their encore. Once they'd played the album through, they did one song and it was In Waves with the full orchestral intro and stuff.
Yeah, so good. And of course, those who have seen tour footage of Matt over the last couple of years, we can confirm on this podcast that he uses Mike as his inspiration for his current look.
Except I'm not going to get naked or topless on stage. not just yet.
I mean, given how ripped he is.
Yeah, he was looking buff, wasn't he?
I mean, the thing that impresses me about both the Matts and all their band members is that either, like, we know Jamie is like a full-time dad when he's not on stage. We know Padgy...
I think they all are, aren't they?
Yeah. Padgy definitely does a lot of production as well. He's a producer of sorts. Matt's the same. Matt Tuck is also hench as well.
Yeah.
But Matt Heafy is a trained fighter.
He is a ninja.
He's a ninja. He also has... At one point, he had one of the most popular Twitch channels.
Yeah. I remember seeing some footage of that with him with his two baby twins.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm twitching with the twins.
I remember...
He was like, don't twitch, stop them.
I remember he did, based on the Twitch channel, and make sure that you check this out, I'll try and put the link in the comments, is they did Until the World Goes Cold, but in a major key rather than the minor key it was written in.
Oh, right.
So it suddenly sounds like this really happy sort of
Radio friendly.
Yeah.
AOR.
Yeah. So I got to ask.
Okay.
And I know that you'll answer this better with Bullet than you would do with Trivium. Do you have a favourite album of theirs across the years? Because I know that you rated Bullet's latest self-titled album a lot higher than I did.
Yeah, that was really good.
Whereas for me, that's not one of their best.
There's one track off an album that it's hard to find. They tried to cater to an American audience to try and break it, I feel. But I thought there was a couple of good tunes on that. But
Well, they had Riot was good.
yeah,
Temper itself.
that was angry. It was good. It was,
But it was when they did
rest.
like Tears Don't Fall Part 2.
Yeah.
Even Metallica said that they should never have done Unforgiven 3.
But going back to your question, I think I don't know. Yeah, probably their most recent one. Is that yeah?
Self-titled.
Yeah.
So-
I think it's just a step up, and yeah, I think and then for Trivium, it's In Waves.
Yeah.
Just because that's the one I know most of the songs to.
So for me, I would say for Trivium, it's actually still Ascendancy.
Okay.
I just pure banger after banger after banger when it comes to the way they write. And for Bullet, I find myself, like, as I start thinking about it, I'm like, I know it's not the self-titled. I know it's not Scream Aim Fire, even though I like both albums, which leaves us with The Poison, V, Fever, and Gravity. I really
I
don't
like
know.
that you didn't put your finger up for Gravity.
I really don't know which one out of all of those.
Or
Like-
do you just go onto your streamer and just go hit play and it's like their most popular 12 tracks?
Okay, well, I got to admit something right now is no. I do album listens of bands like Bullet and Trivium because I love the album so much. I'll just go, I'm in a Gravity mood. I'll pop Gravity on. Because that one for me is very summery metal. It's like happy.
Warped Tour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very different. And I absolutely love it. And so I'd say probably V, actually. I think is probably the best Bullet album because it's got No Way Out, which I absolutely love.
I think that'd probably come second for me, actually.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
many
one with
good
the
tracks.
snake on it, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yes. Yeah, that would probably come second after self-titled.
And then after that, it all just kind of goes into
The Poison.
I like Bullet, yeah. Because Poison is as good as Fever, as good as Gravity, and then I've got the Scream Aim Fire and the self-titled, which I still listen to all the way through because I love them that much. But yeah, it's very much down.
Yeah, I think if Spotify had an end-of-year roundup, which was your top 50 albums that you've played this year, I think Bullet would be there for me. They are, I wouldn't say they're
Filled up.
I wouldn't say they're my go-to band if I want to have a bit of a sing-song in the van or something, but they get played a few times
A year.
a month.
Now, also, we've got some very, very funny, embarrassing history. And not anything embarrassing for once for you, but I have managed to embarrass myself with both Matts at various points in my life.
I know the one you're probably on about with Mr. Heafy in the tour bus.
No, not in the tour bus. First ever press area that me and you did together.
Yeah, but he won't remember you on that, and that wasn't on camera.
Yeah, no.
Whereas the one on the tour bus was on camera. And
I don't mind that.
And you said,
I said that being a true fan and being very, very true to my interviewer roots, I try and tell the truth. So I told Matt he's one of my favourite songwriters, but I don't like everything that he's written. And he did say thank you.
he did. He was like, respect.
But no, what I'm talking about is years and years ago when, because we've been friends longer than we've been doing the show. And a very long story, which I'm not going to get into, but Mike decided he was going to take me on a press pass to download to help me deal with some of the stuff that was going on in my life at the time. And I had never been in a press area, I'd never really been backstage at it, maybe 2 or 3 gigs backstage with you, and that was about it at that point.
Yeah, maybe.
So we go to download, not a small festival, Download Festival. And I see Matt Heafy walking across the press area
You did.
And so at that point, I completely abandoned all leave of my senses, ran through...
He was halfway through an interview.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
I wasn't, but
He
other
wasn't.
people were.
Yeah.
Which I ran through, so there's footage of me sprinting towards Matt Heafy just so that I could meet him for the first time ever.
It wasn't the last time that festival that you ran through people's interviews to go and meet someone you really wanted to
Well,
meet.
the Matt Tuck story's even worse. Because I get I get a little bit involved in my work, where especially back when we were trying to get noticed, and I did a lot of editing.
We still are, so like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please share our content.
And so I'm sat there, and from my perspective, Mike was just being a pain in the ass. So I kept swatting him away, going, "Stop bothering me, I'm editing, you know I need to get this done." And like, he wouldn't give up, and then at one point, about 10 minutes after that he had been there bothering me, I was like, "What do you want?" He was like, "Dude," he's like, "I was very, very, very subtly trying to get your attention." Why was that?
Matt Tuck was stood closer than I'm sat next to you whilst your head was in the laptop, busying yourself. And he was there. It wasn't just like get past people.
Yeah.
He was there, just stood there. I think
Chilling.
at one stage he was just watching you edit. And I was like, I can't like do it. Like, Dad, look up.
So bad, so bad. So my redemption arc on this one, because I've never managed to interview Matt Tuck. I would love to. I've done Padge, you've done Jamie. I've even interviewed Moose when he was part of Kill the Lights, and never interviewed Jay, but that's bless him, because Jay had a couple of projects after Bullet, but never really got anywhere else.
Yeah.
But a few downloads later, like 3 or 4 years later, maybe even a bit more, I see Matt Tuck enter the press area, and I'm straight out my seat. And so I go...
Didn't even lock the laptop that time.
No. I go walking across to him, and I said to him, I was like, "Dude, I'm your biggest fan. I'm here to do interviews." I was like, "I don't want to bother you." I was like, "But could I just grab a selfie?" I was like, because I was like, me and you have, like, I've embarrassed myself by being near you in your earlier career, where I could have easily met you, and I just didn't realise you were there. He starts laughing, and he's like, "Sure, dude." He's like, "As long as you don't make me break my stride, you can have a selfie." So I walked outside with him. By the time that he had to go into the tent, we had the camera ready, and then I pull my classic face, and the thing that made me the most happy, I'm going to put the picture here, but the thing that made me most happy is that he then did exactly the same face that I was doing. Happiest selfie I think I've ever got at a download was that little redemption arc of embarrassment, because it was so bad.
I was trying to work out if I've actually interviewed Trivium.
I'm not sure, because... Unless you did it before I joined.
No.
Because Paolo was my first ever solo interview, possibly my first ever actual interview, and you weren't able to come with me. So I took like a couple of friends that had tickets for the gig, Bristol again, did all of that sort of stuff, and we got a really good interview, like I'm very, very chatty, to the point where these days when I walk onto the tour bus, because we interviewed Trivium, particularly Paolo, loads of times, he's like, he's like my favourite English interviewer. I'm like, "Hey dude."
I'm like that with Wednesday 13.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. We also said on the last one, when we chatted to Corey, when Trivium got back on the main stage of Download.
That was the only time we've actually been to
the backstage,
backstage area and interviewed in their backstage, their cabin that they get for it.
And I've watched every second of that interview, and I'm convinced that it was just on off camera. But he actually told us at that point in time, which was a few years back, that they never thought they were going to do an anniversary tour. Because even for him with his vocal duties, like, I'm not sure if I can do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that they went from thinking that it was a no, they can't, it's not going to happen, and then to sound as good as they did in Cardiff for us on the opening night.
And they had a State Fit walkway.
At Cardiff?
I know.
It was incredible. They also had very Metallica-esque backdrop where you had...
Oh, an inflatable backdrop.
Yeah, the one that was on my t-shirt, leaning across and actually coming out.
Yeah, it was blow-up, three-dimensional. Yeah, it was good.
And then Bullet went for screens instead.
Lasers!
And then me and you were laughing because not only Did we see the Matt Tuck that we remember in 2005, where he had that really straight, feathered look and like the big necklace? By the way, I know
think they
this.
called that emo.
Yeah, I know this so well because I genuinely wanted to look like him. I don't anymore, you can probably tell. But it was one of the interviews that they gave in their early career was with a station that we were on for years.
Yeah, Total Rock.
And we was out there like, there's the logo that we used to be on. By the way, lots of love to Total Rock. Make sure that you do check out that. Some of our best industry friends come from Total Rock. We decided to go on to pastures and you because it had been nearly a decade that we were on that radio station.
Yeah. Variety is the spice of life, and that's what they said to the Trivium drummer.
Well, I like to think of them as Spinal Trivium because the joke of Spinal Tap is they have a different drummer each, like tour cycle, and one explodes on screen and stuff like that. But I mean, I know so much about one of them that they had a drummer leave on tour. His drum tech started covering duty.
Yep.
They made him the drummer, and then he
toured for about 18
2 years.
months.
Yeah. But then came out and apologised to Trivium fans, apologised to the band, and said, "I don't think I should have ever done this." He's like, "I was a tech that just knew the songs." He's like, "I was never the person that they needed," and actually gave like a lot of love to the change that they had, which I think is, actually more love in the industry for things like that.
If you can spot something like that in yourself, then own it. It's good, and obviously he gave it a good stab. 18 months to 2 years touring the world. And
do you remember when he bled through his hand covers?
All drummers do that, don't they?
Well, he had like the plasters, and and he took a picture afterwards, and it was the gig that we had seen him on, and he had literal blood just coming off with his hands because he had worn all the skin off his fingertips.
Yeah,
but
it's normally fretboard, isn't it?
Yeah,
from guitarists or bass players and things, and you see the pictures of pickups, and they're all covered in.
I remember one time Ben Bruce slammed his guitar a chop just to make it sound good and look good, and he cut a proper groove into his hand that had to be stitched up because of just he caught the wrong string at the wrong angle. It just went straight up into his hand. Tour injuries are wild, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a podcast in itself.
Tour injuries, and also we're thinking at some point we should, because we get to see lots of bands on tour, and they're normally either at the start, middle, end, or whatever. But a lot of people aren't based in the country that they're touring in. So we thought we should put together a little tour package for bands. Let us know in the comments what we should put in a tour package for bands, because obviously a bit of merch from us so that they wear it, possibly one of those travel wash kits as well. Not going to name any names, but it's been quite smelly on some interviews over the years. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. But
it's not just the interview we did in a bin cupboard.
That was Motionless in White.
It was.
And they didn't smell, but the bin cupboard did.
Stagnant alcohol.
Yeah, and maybe a bit of air freshener for the tour van. So smaller bands, an air freshener for their tour van.
Or do you remember the interview we did in Plymouth next to a burnt out car that had been burnt out the night before, and it just...
that was... Who was that?
Crossfaith.
And we also did somebody else there.
It wasn't Crossfaith, it was whoever was on the tour with Crossfaith, because we did Crossfaith and the 100. Props to the 100.
Love them.
On the tour bus, but whoever the other band was...
Can't remember. But yeah, there's one next to a burnt out car because
we thought it'd look cool,
and it was such an aesthetic, but the smell coming off of the thing was incredible.
It's not like you can't ever find a burnt out car in Plymouth. Exeter till I die. Yeah,
that's the UK. We don't know what Plymouth is like in the US, because I know there's at least one Plymouth over there.
I think there's one in Australia as well.
Yeah, no, we throw shade at the one that's near to us because we got to have the rivalry somewhere, So
it is, yeah. It's just banter. But to get to Plymouth, you've got to go through Exeter, where we're from. So,
and somebody once said, "Is Exeter is sag hat and snapback wearing metalcore kids, and Plymouth is deathcore with the massive ears."
Some people said a while back that it's the same city with Dartmoor slapped in the middle of it, which is quite understandable.
So let us know what you think your city genre of music is. Is there a scene? Because we had And there was even like a proper little promotions group called Ocean City Hardcore.
There was.
In Plymouth. So, and then Exeter, we've had like Dreamer Within, we had I Divide, we've had Idiom, and there's a few others which we can't name because then you'll know who's sort of doing certain roles out there, you know. That's probably too much.
We know the
probably,
know.
Yeah,
we're in the knowledge.
Mostly because we recognised the vocals the first time he spoke.
Well, yeah. Enough said.
So also we want to do deep dives on other stuff. We have plenty that we can deep dive into from our own likes, but make sure that you tell us what you think that we should deep dive into. We can dig out old interviews, we've got all of the Wikipedia facts that we can find, and all of that sort of stuff, because if we do it, then it's going to be variations of metalcore, deathcore and hardcore for the most part.
I think the one we've got lined up for next deep dive episode is tasty.
I'm quite excited for this one.
It's not metalcore or anything, but you'll have to stay tuned to find out what we're deep diving on in a few weeks' time.
And is that the one with a certain poll that's going up on the social media as well?
No.
Okay, so that make sure you pay attention to the social media, because we're also running polls on some of the other content that we're putting out, or going to be putting out. So My James Rock Show on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X.
Not X.
Not X? We haven't been on there for a while, have we?
Not since it was Twitter.
I'm so used to saying, obviously you're already on YouTube if you're watching this, or if you're watching this on Spotify, then go give us a like subscribe on, YouTube as well.
Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments, and more importantly, share.
Share.
Just help us change the algorithm so that more people can discover what we're trying to do.
Yep, 18 months of a new music radio show, and about
18 months? 18 years.
18 years, sorry, not 18 months.
18 years. You've aged really badly in that 18 months.
So make sure that you check that out on Spotify, Apple Music, Mixcloud, all of those ones as well, because we do that every week, and this man goes through an inbox of PR submitted, label submitted, self-submitted bands from all around the world, and often I have no idea which direction the show's going to go in when we start doing it.
Neither do I.
So it's well worth checking that out. But yeah, get involved.
There is no way you'd get an algorithm would put that song followed by that song, followed by that song.
And I love it because even some of my favourite bands that aren't Bullet and Trivium have come from the show. I think same for you as well, because there's a...
Oh yeah, it's all about discovery.
Exactly. So make sure you check all of that out, and also make sure that you like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I did it for once.
Well done.
Thank you. Shall we say toodles?
You just did, so I'll say goodbyesies.
Thank you for watching our deep dive episode on Bullet and Trivium. Make sure you check out all the albums that we chatted about today. Have a look at all the stuff that these guys have been putting online recently. It's been absolutely amazing. Didn't manage to make it to the London show myself, but I heard that was absolutely awesome. So we got no footage from that, unfortunately. Anyways, make sure that you check out our radio show, 2 hours of new music, where we support Safe Gigs for Women and Andy's Man Club. We also have an affiliation deal with EMP.com, which gives you anything that you need: rock, metal, sci-fi, fantasy, both clothing and all the collectibles you can imagine. So make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms.